Hi, my name is Melissa Cirillo. I live in Long Island, New York, and I am the owner of melknowsyoursoul.com. So I started a blog along with the website, and I started writing my first entry, and I figured, you know what? I'd much rather do a video, have people see and hear a little bit about who I am, how I got to this point. So here it goes. And hopefully this will help sway your decision to schedule a reading with me. So I've been spiritual my whole life, but I didn't quite realize that I had spiritual abilities until I got much older. Although looking back now, there were a couple of examples of times where I was visited by spirit and it was terrifying, but being a kid, I didn't really know what was going on. So far back as probably when I was around like 6 or 7, maybe even 8 years old, I remember seeing shadowy figures in the corner of my room, like silhouettes of people, and it was terrifying. So I just remember pulling the covers over my head really tight, or just kind of like calling. I'm a twin, so I'd be like call to my sister, Sam, like, Sam, you awake? And she never was, of course. So that was really scary. But that stopped after a while, and so I didn't think much of it. I thought it was just my imagination playing tricks on me. But then after that, I started to have really, really vivid dreams. So my dreams started to happen when I was in middle school and then moving towards high school a little bit more. So I was like 12 to 16, I would say. I had really realistic, vivid dreams that I had to it would wake me up out of a dead sleep, and I'd have to sit there for a few minutes being like, okay, am I still in a dream, or am I awake now? Is this real life? And then it would be even more freaky when a few days later what I saw in the dream would actually happen, or I would hear words or like a sentence that was in the dream in real life and be like, huh, that sounds familiar, or I know that from somewhere. It's kind of like that feeling of deja vu, which all of us get every once in a while, but it was happening to me more on a consistent and daily basis. So that was something. And then after that period or that phase, I started to, right before I would go to sleep, I would hear my name being whispered. Oh, hang on, here's my dog Frank making an appearance. Hi, Frank. So right after that, I started to just hear my name whispered in my ear right before I would fall asleep. And dude, rude. Anyways, I started to hear my name being whispered in my ear right before I would fall asleep. And so that was very scary as well. But from what I've looked up, because I've looked up a lot of stuff about like an awakening, spiritual awakening of your gifts, and that happens to that most people, it's really common where you start to hear your name being whispered to you. So that was my experience with spirit up to that point. And it wasn't enough evidence for me to say that I had some sort of spiritual ability. I kind of was just like, oh, well, this must be just coincidental or whatever, things like that. But a couple of traumatic events started to happen where I knew that it was something more. And I started to develop a lot of anxiety and depression because I felt like I didn't know where my place was in the world. I couldn't really identify with any of my peers or build any sort of relationships because I felt really different than everybody. People wanted to talk about what was going on, and I tried to do that too, like what was going on in school and other people, but deep down I knew that there's something inside of me that's much bigger than that, and I didn't want to be a part of like these little worlds. It wasn't, not that there's anything wrong with that, because that's how most people live their life, just kind of going with the flow and trying to find their way in whatever crowd. I just couldn't do that. And it's kind of funny because my little group of friends, I've seen friends, it was like 2 or 3 people, and we always were kind of like misfits floating around to whoever didn't fit in as well. So that was always kind of fun. But yeah, so when I graduated high school, I just became very agoraphobic. I didn't want to leave my house, and I couldn't talk to anyone, and I just felt like very alone in this overwhelming presence of just emptiness. Like I didn't know what to do. I tried going to college and nothing was clicking. I couldn't figure out a direction for myself. All I knew is that I really wanted to help people on a very deep level. And then one day my dad, he was shopping and he came across this, if anybody knows like the famous medium John Edwards, he came across like a meditation series that he had put together. And my dad was like, I don't know, I just felt like this calling, this draw, I was drawn, I needed to buy it for you. So he bought it for me. And I've never tried meditation before, but I was like, you know what, all right, I'll give it a try. Can't hurt. And that's when everything started to change. And I was like, oh, wow, this is insane. It coincided with me getting these meditation tapes and getting more into meditation with my, at the time, boyfriend, my now fiance. He had lost a friend to suicide. And I met this person probably 2 or 3 times, but sadly to say, I didn't know him. And when he told me who it was, I was like, like I don't even really remember them, which, you know, like I said, it's sad to say, but I didn't know him. And when I was sitting in meditation, he kind of popped up in my head, and I started to just hear words and like sentences and stuff, and how it sounded, how it came to me. It sounded like my own voice. And like you know, when you have that internal dialogue with yourself, it sounds like you know it's you. But the sentences, the words, the phrases, the vocabulary, it was not mine, because I don't have a very broad vocabulary. So it wasn't me. It sounded as if it were me, but it wasn't me. And then I started to see almost like in my third eye, what looks like or feels like a daydream, but it was these images that didn't relate to anything I was thinking about. It just kind of popped up at random. And I was like, that's weird. And like I said, I didn't really know this person, so I went to my boyfriend and I was like, you know, I kind of had like these feelings and these pictures when I was meditating, and I was asking him about them, and apparently they were pretty spot on. And so a week or so later, after they had like his funeral and everything, he came to me again in meditation. And I was like, all right, you know, at first I didn't believe any of this for myself. I didn't think it was real, but I felt a very strong pull that I needed to talk to one of his other friends, somebody that was very close to him. So I had reached out to this person through text and kind of was texting them the messages that I was receiving. And again, I happen to be really accurate, and I'm kind of like, I don't know how any of this is happening. I don't know how this is real. It feels like I'm thinking these things up. It feels like I'm imagining these things. But, you know, funny enough, movies and shows show us like this ghost appears to you right in front, and I see them in full form, and they're this figure, and I hear this like big booming deep ghostly voice. Doing what I do now, that is not how it happens. That's not how a psychic ability works. That's not how a mediumship ability works. It isn't. It just isn't. So I had to learn that for myself, that I receive information in this way. This is my gift. This is how it comes to me. Everybody's different. There may be some people who see spirit in full form with their physical eyes, but that's not me, and that's okay. So once I got validation from this person that these messages were really coming from his friend, I was kind of like very excited. I was like, wow, I got to get into this, but very shy at the same time, because I'm a very shy person. Like I said, I struggle with anxiety and depression. And who the hell do you talk to about these things? My parents thought I was crazy. My family thought I was crazy. My fiance was supportive, but I could tell at first he was kind of like, all right, this is a little strange. And I didn't want to tell anybody, so I tried to bury that part of myself. And I gave up on meditation. I gave up on doing things until my fiance had this one friend, and he was so gentle and open and trusting and honest. And like, you know, we started to hang out with him on a more regular basis, like a weekly basis. And I've known him for years, but our friendship deepened the last 2 years of his life, because unfortunately he's not with us anymore. But it felt safe to tell him, as he was the first person outside of my family that I told about my abilities. And I told him, and it was scary too, because he was very religious, and I know people who are religious don't exactly believe in what I do or trust that I'm not going to get any kind of evil or false information. So I was nervous to tell him, but I did, because like I said, I felt a closeness. I felt some sort of bond on a deeper level with him. He was really encouraging and just so kind about it, and he was fascinated. He asked me so many questions, and so I just started talking about it, and it just made me feel, for the first time, accepted for who I really was by somebody outside of my family, like by a friend, somebody I could tell, somebody I could trust, and it felt really good. And then after I told him, I started to have impressions in my head of him not being with us anymore. And I didn't want to believe them because, like I said, I didn't really believe in myself fully. I thought these were figments of my imagination. I must be dreaming this up. This can't be real. And who wants that to be real? Especially when I just found this closeness with him, this comfort, this friend that understands in a way that no one else does. And then the last time I saw him, I intuitively kind of knew it was going to be the last time I was going to see him. And I just remember, like, the last couple things I remember is just yelling at him. He was sick. He had, like, a cold. Just yelling at him because, first of all, it's like, it was March, so it was freezing out. He comes over with no jacket and just a ball of paper towels in his pocket that he's, like, blowing his nose into. And I was like, why the hell aren't you just yelling at him about not wearing a jacket? And then he just kept telling me, don't worry, I'm fine. Just so gentle and calm, because that's who he was. And then he left for the night, and he gave me a hug goodbye, and it was just like, I felt that it was goodbye, you know? It was a really long hug, and it was like a heart touch hug, you know, where your souls connect on a different level. You get that with people sometimes, and I knew it was the end of the road for him a little bit, but like I said, I didn't want to believe that. So you know, a couple days went by, about a week passes, and he passed away, unfortunately, due to like a freak accident. And I was really devastated, as well as so is all the rest of his friends and family, because like I said, he was a really amazing person, unlike anyone I've ever met before. And so when he died, I went into meditation afterwards, once, like, you know, it kind of settled in, and he came to me immediately. I saw him right in my third eye, just so happy and, like, free is the best way I can describe it. And he kept telling me, you have to do it. You have a job to do. You have to keep moving forward. You have to share with people. You have to, just telling me, encouraging me. And so after that, I decided to kind of publicize about who I am, what I do. Through social media, I started telling people, and I started saying, this is my career, this is what I do, this is what I'm about, this is who I am. If you don't like it, that's too bad. My intention, my purpose here is to help heal others. And I speak about him for probably the longest amount of time in this video, because I do this now in honor of him. Because I want human beings to be open, loving, honest in the way that he was, because why shouldn't we be? Why shouldn't we connect with as many people as we possibly can? Why shouldn't we offer a listening ear and a comforting heart and some nice words to people? Why? That's what he was all about. That's what I want to be all about. And I want to bring joy, happiness, and comfort to people in need, and I have the ability to do that. I am a vessel for spirit. They use me to communicate. I give healing messages. I can communicate with deceased loved ones. I can heal you. It's not me, it's spirit doing the work, but I'm the vessel that will help to heal you. And I hope to do that for as many people as I possibly can. And if you need to speak to somebody, if you want somebody to listen to you, somebody to give you some encouragement, I would love to be that person. And I hope that you reach out to me. My reading style is different than most people I've seen, but all Lightworkers works differently. We're all different. We all have different purposes in this lifetime. Mine, like I said, is to help heal, help lift people's hearts. That's what I'm about. A reading with me is like your own little personal spiritual therapy session with oracle cards, because I like to use oracle cards for the symbols. It's more, it helps people connect more with the message. I feel it grounds the message a little bit more. So that's my story, and here I am. And I just want what's best for everyone. And I hope that if you need to talk, if you want a reading, you'll reach out to me. My prices, even though some people may think they're a little high, they're actually very low for this type of business. A lot of people charge about $115 an hour, a little more than that sometimes. My goal is to reach as many people as I possibly can. to make it affordable, but I also want this to be a career. I need to make a living myself. And I deserve to be paid for my time because what I do is not easy, although worth it, not easy. So my last little message to you, whoever's watching, is lead forward with your heart, with a clear mind, an open mind. Look to the future with a smile and hope, because we never know when life can be taken from us, is really what I'm going to say. Even for people as beautiful as my friend was, kind, honest, it could be taken from you in an instant. And so if you're confused, if you don't know what you're doing and you're lost right now, I want to help you. I want to help you find your way. I want to help you find your happiness. I want to help point you back on the path that will put you in the deepest sense of peace that you possibly can be. And I hope you'll allow me to be that person. I promise this will be the longest video you'll ever watch on my blog. And I'll have some meditations and stuff like that coming up soon too. So I hope you enjoyed getting to know me a little bit. Hope my story wasn't too all over the place for you. And feel free to reach out anytime you like. Thanks.